Time now for a pitching change as we welcome in Jerry Blevins. Jerry, you like the pivot by the Mets?
I do, Sal. I like it for a bunch of reasons. The first one being that Bichette is a very good ball player. I love the bat. They need to replace some of the missing pieces that they let go to other places. And Bichette is a very good right-handed hitter. He will slide right into the middle of that lineup. It's just going to be a good issue for their lineup. But the second part of why I like that pivot so much is I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't heard any rumors, and that tells me two things. One, that they had a plan going forward already set in place in case things didn't work out with their plan A, that they were ready to move on to plan B. And the second reason is this is a healthy front office. These guys have people in place that they trust. They only allow information out that they want out. So that gives me hope for the future on what they are doing, and it shows that they have a plan moving forward.
All right, Bichette hit over 300 in 2 of the last 3 seasons. How much does he lengthen out that Mets lineup?
Yeah, I think that's the key for me. They still have some room. Left field is still a question mark. Center field is still a question mark. But the key for me is he is a no-doubt heart of the order kind of guy. That moves Marcus Semien, who's getting older. He's had a great career. It doesn't pressure him to hit fourth and have to hit 30-plus home runs like he has in his past. He can relax. But that also allows Brett Baty to have a little bit of growing pains coming off his first real success in the big leagues. Doesn't feel that pressure to must produce. And it allows Alvarez that same kind of freedom to be able to relax, bottom of the order. And if those guys turn out to be the bats that we think they could be, especially Alvarez, that'll push him up in that lineup. It just frees them up to allow the younger guys to get some more cup of coffee, to allow them to get them legs under themselves without the pressure to immediately produce.
You know, looking at it on the screen like that, I love the addition of Bichette. They need another bat in the middle of that. I want a little more power there. All right, Jerry, what's your confidence level in the Mets' infield defense with inexperience at both corner infield positions?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit overplayed as far as Bichette not being able to play third base. I think anybody that can handle shortstop, the biggest downfall for him at shortstop was his range. He's not very fleet of foot. He doesn't steal bases. But at third base, you don't really need range. You need good instincts and a quick glove. Now, his arm strength isn't going to be confused with the Matt Chapman, so he's not going to make those spectacular plays from the grass. But he's going to give you a chance for a guy that has played a solid shortstop to move to third base. That one's an easy check mark for me. First base is a little bit of a question mark. I always think that first base is an underappreciated, really important glove. I mean, all of the plays. Bo Bichette can make a great throw, but if you can't catch it on the other end, it doesn't matter. I think Pete Alonso was underappreciated as far as the glove goes. But I think Jorge Polanco or Brett Baty, if they want him to play a little bit of first base, or even Vientos can do some things over there, they'll at least be serviceable. So I think the defense is better than it was last year at this point for sure.
How do you feel about that with the Mets infield defense overall with that much inexperience?
Well, I think with Jackie Robinson, now I'm feeling a lot better. And thank you for not making a good joke about how I was not alive to see that game. No, listen, I think Jerry Blevins put it very well, and he's obviously been on the mound when the tension is at its highest. And I think what you're asking from these guys is not for them to change their skill set in such a way that they can't grasp a new position. Again, shortstop to third. That's something we see often. We see middle infielders go to first base as they go into their 30s, just like Polanco. And by the way, maybe it is a lot of Brett Baty at first base, also with Polanco DHing. Like, we don't know how this is going to play out. There's so many more dominoes that need to fall here. While it's really fun, we can celebrate Bo Bichette, the Mets doing something really big here. Finally, someone's coming in. We're not talking about guys going out. But there is still a lot to be done. They have now a glut, really, of infielders. They need an outfielder. They need pitching. So who's going to be the guys who are staying and who's going? Is Brett Baty going to get traded? Is Mark Vientos going to get traded? Ronnie Mauricio, Luis Angel Acuna. There's so many moving parts here still.
Let's make something clear. I love this move for the Mets. I think it's an absolute slam dunk. But David Stearns came out right after the Mets played that series against the Marlins. They get eliminated. They don't make the postseason, and stressed the idea of run prevention. It is rather crazy to think about the fact, though, that you are going to have a third baseman who's never played the position before, a first baseman who has barely played the position. We're talking about Brett Baty now playing the outfield, for goodness sakes. So it's interesting to see how the Mets have evolved as far as this goes, and it may work out brilliantly. Bo Bichette's a good athlete. We've seen plenty of guys make that transition from shortstop to third base. That one doesn't concern me as much. First base does, though. And we talked about it.
Yeah.
We were joking about Moneyball. It is not as simple as just rolling out balls and thinking we're going to be able to play first base. So the Mets better be sure they have somebody who can go and field the position. They need their Ron Washington, Maggie.
But JJ, here's the thing. We all thought, I think many of us thought, that Pete Alonso was probably coming back. And it turns out that the Mets, again, they show you more than tell you. They showed you 2 years ago they weren't in love with Alonso. Then they showed you this year that they were willing to let him walk. They were not in love despite all the things, home run leader for the Mets in the franchise history, despite the power in the bat. They didn't like him at first. You got to go now with the Mets with what they do, not what they say. That's it. They said run prevention going into the offseason, and clearly that's not the first
Just
thing.
got to be able to handle first base.
Unless
That's
they
all.
get
And look,
Tarek Skubal, and then, okay, now run prevention.
Here's the thing. It's not ideal. The guys have never played there before. This is the big leagues. It's the New York Mets. It's a big. So it's not ideal. Obviously, you'd rather have somebody who's more comfortable playing first base. Generally in baseball, you get first basemen to play first base. You get center fielders to play center field. You get third basemen to play third. The Mets haven't done that in quite some time. I don't think this is a big deal. And I do think it is a upgrade over what they had there, but time will tell.